Hey guys, ColdBrew back with a legendary gem tier list for Crusaders at least, and which ones of the gems you should be trying to get and which ones to avoid when you're starting out as a Crusader. Just to have a look, I've got a Crusader level 83 in Paragon with about 2,800 combat rating, sitting nicely on the throne of distraction, as also the Immortal. If you've noticed my cosmetics, these are looking shiny and nice. But let's get started. Let's have a look at the gems and see which ones are good and which ones are not. As you can see from my watch list, there's the one and only Blessing of the Worthy, but I think we'll go over to the 5 stars in the end, just because they're so hard to get. They're so out of reach for many players out there. So we're gonna start with the 1 stars, which are more accessible to everyone, and then go to the 2 stars and then the 5 stars. The 2 stars are kind of the same as the 5 stars for free to play, because you need to craft those as a free to play to get them, or even as low spenders you'll be likely getting more 2 stars compared to 5 stars. The high spenders, they'll get more of the 5 stars and they'll have a full equipment with 5 stars, and depending on the rank and all that. But let's get started. So legendary gems is much quicker to look at them through the market, so this is why I'm looking at it right here. I don't have each and every one of them leveled up and tested, unfortunately, because the game does not allow you to do that. If I could, then I would be testing every single one of them for my Crusader and seeing, okay, how does this look, and can I move that over to a different build? I would have been doing all that stuff, but it's not easy to do that. You need multiple copies and you lose out on your gem if you change that one up. So let's get started with the Zod Stone. So the Zod Stone here increases the duration of your ultimate skills by 16%. This goes up with the higher rank you have of the Zod Stone, and of course that means you'll need to have multiple copies, and of course a lot of gem power to get this ranked up to 10. So it also increases damage done by your ultimate skills by 1.5% at rank 3, so you get double the benefit if you start upgrading this. This is not such a great item for the Crusader, or although our ultimate skill is nice to have, it looks especially good with the Sacred Fire skill. It is not such a good gem to have. Comparing it to everything else that is available, the ultimate is not always up. It's very slow to charge at specific points if you don't have something that increases your attack speed, so that you attack with your primary skill to just charge up your ultimate. So it makes no sense to have this skill, at least for the Crusader. Then going up next to the Carson's Invigoration. This gem is also provided through the Health vendor, both through the Immortal section and also the normal section of the Health store. It doesn't change the fact that this increases the speed of your primary attacks by 5.5% and damage when it gets to rank 3. It is okay, not the best gem. You don't need so much attack speed as a Crusader, although it helps. There's much better gems out there, and comparing it to the other 1 stars that are available, this is by far the worst, comparing it to, you know, attack speed boost by Everlasting Torment. But of course, we'll get to that in a little bit. Defiant Soul is next. So each time you block an attack, you deal 64 base damage plus 777 to all nearby enemies. Cannot cure more than once every 20 seconds. Then decrease all damage you take by 1.5% for 3 seconds. So this is actually very interesting, which is one of the gems that I would like to test. This is what I started out saying at the start of the video, that I would love to test more builds out there, and that specific gem would allow me to test, let's say, the block chance increase for challenge rifts, plus the block chance you get from the punish skill, plus that gem to possibly get like a block build which also does damage to enemies. That would be amazing for the Crusader. At the looks of it, it's not that great because of the damage that you get. It doesn't seem that great. It's also a 1 star. The 1 stars, there's only a couple that are great for the Crusader. If you do have the opportunity to do this, and if you're feeling, if you're feeling willing to try out the block chance build, then this might actually be interesting. It does do some good damage for AoEs, but AoEs is not something that a Crusader lacks, so you can get something more for single target damage instead, or for more protection. Let's go next to Respite Stone. Decreases all damage you take by 0.55% for every 10% of your life is below maximum, to a maximum damage decrease of 5.5%. That is not a lot. Of course, this upgrades with the more ranks you give to the Respite Stone, but remember, you're looking at the, let's say, challenge rifts. Challenges you take a lot of damage because you're fighting much higher combat rating enemies compared to everywhere else. So the damage that you take will still be a 1 or a 2 shot of you just dying. So this does not give you much benefit. You'd rather go for a different route, so let's say more damage instead of just simply the protection that this gems allows. Next one, we go for Pain of Subjugation. You deal 5.5% increased damage to enemies suffering loss of control. So loss of control is very specific. There's another gem that we'll have a look at in a little bit, but loss of control is very specific. There's not many skills that the Crusader has that do loss of control. There's total loss of control now in the game, but there is, let's say, the knock away that the Crusader does with the draw and quarter skill, the pony. So you can do that and actually make them take 5.5 increased 5% increased damage. Decrease all damage you take by 1% while suffering loss of control. That is also interesting for PvP situations, but again, it does not completely eliminate the fact that you'll be crowd control there. There's no diminishing returns for crowd control, so you'll still be stunned for an extended period of time and you will still die in PvP. That's one of the problems that Crusader has when they can get stun locked or crowd controlled for you know, a prolonged period of time. They just have no way out of it. And then we have a look at Trick Shot Gem. So this is a favorite for barbarians. This is only good for Crusaders for very niche builds, very specific builds. The channel skills consume energy at 8% slower, and this goes up, of course, again as you max it out. Decrease all damage you take by 0.5% while using a channel skill. This is much better for the barbarians who have the whirlwind as one of the base skills. Crusaders don't have those skills, like let's say the laser beam skill or the what's it called, the flare, not the flare, the sweep attack build, that you charge this attack and it becomes like a channeling skill. It's not so much oftenly used, and I don't recommend going for the Trickster Gem unless you want to try a very specific build, which it would have been something that I would love to do for the Crusader, but it's not possible at the moment. So again, not recommended. Berserker's Eye is one of the ones that you want to have a look at and you want to have at rank 10. So let's have a look at it at rank 10 to compare the benefit that you get. So here it says increase all damage you deal by 16%, which is huge, and increases your critical hit chance by 2%. Again, very strong, but also increases the damage that you take by 5%. So I'm not sure if the damage that you take is multiplicative in the challenge rift, but still the one shot or two shot will still happen if you got the 5% or not. It will only change in PvP situations where you will be getting 5% more damage taken, but dealing 16% more damage and 2% higher chance to crit is huge, comparing that to anything else. So this is a very strong gem to have. I've taken it to level 10. It was much easier to take than anything else that I have. And of course, I also awakened one of my items because of that, because you get the extra benefit of awakening gems, the 1 stars, to level 10. Then we'll go over to Seled's Weakening. This is offered through the Battle Pass. So if you're just a Battle Pass guy who wants to spend that $5 every month, this gem is something that you have available. Gain 6% increased damage for 60 seconds after killing an elite monster. This is nice, especially for farming. This will make your farming way quicker, but when you're farming, you don't really care about boosting your damage. You're gonna have high damage already. You're gonna be farming in a group. Killing something will not be of an issue. All right, increase all damage you deal to elite monsters by 1%. This is very solid too, but I would say if you have other options, do not take this one, but it's again one of the better ones, at least for 1 stars. If it's only 1 stars that you're equipping, this is definitely one of the 6 that you want to have in mind and equipping. Mocking Laughter. Your primary attack forces non-elite monsters to attack you for 2 seconds. This is good, but it's for non-elites, so it's a way for you to taunt enemies and not have them attack your allies. But the way that most of the things work in the game right here is that the elites will be doing more damage comparing it to anything else, and really on high CR situations where you want to be forcing enemies to attack you, there's no real way for you to survive. There's no you know, damage protection builds out there, at least at the moment, at level 80 or so Paragon. So you'll still get 1 shot or 2 shotted by the enemies that are affected by Mocking Laughter. So it really is, there's no reason to get this one. Everlasting Torment is one of the ones that the Crusader can have a big use of. This is such a strong skill. Your critical hits inflict agony, dealing 10% base damage, plus 122 every second for 6 seconds. Each enemy cannot be affected by this more than once every 20 seconds. This is a very strong skill. With the banner that gives you 100% chance to crit, you'll be applying this agony at all times with your crits, which will be guaranteed. So this is like a huge gem to have. And at max level, it also boosts your attack speed. So this is huge with Sacred Fire. This is one of the gems that I was contemplating between Everlasting Torment and Berserker's Eye. These were the two that I wanted to take to level 10. I might even take the Everlasting Torment just to try it out for a video, just to showcase it. But because it's so expensive to do so, it literally costs about $200 to take one of these to level 10. So it's very, very expensive to do. And there's no transferring the rank of a gem to another one. You have to literally feed it into the other one to get the gem power back. Although you get it at 100%, you don't get the copies back. So that kind of sucks. So that's what I don't want to do it. So Chain Death is the next one. Increase damage done by your attacks by 1.5% per target hit, up to a maximum of 4.5% with 3 targets. So this goes up by a lot once you have this fully maxed out. Chain Death bonus damage increases to a maximum of 4 targets and rank 3. And this gem, of course, becomes better and better as you rank it up. This is actually one of the better selling gems that I have in terms of 1 star. I do see the value of this one over anything else in terms of 1 star. So I highly recommend testing this one out if you're going only 1 stars. Comparing it to, let's say, the 2 stars or the 5 stars. Nightmare Wreath. So you have a 10% chance when you defeat an enemy to cause other nearby enemies to flee in fear for 0.8 seconds. This is very, very specific and loses value when you're beating a boss, let's say at the end of a challenge. If anything else that you want to be using this for, this will be basically like a useless thing to do, because fear is not that easy to inflict. It's only a 10% chance. And after you defeat an enemy, which is not that easy to do in challenge drifts, and especially you want to have this proc on elites compared to anything else. So don't do that. Black Rose. Each time you're attacked, you have a 10% chance to summon vines that immobilize the attacker for 1.1 seconds. Each enemy cannot be affected by this once every 20 seconds. Chance to summon vines increased to 13.5%. This goes up and up as you do this. It's very solid for PvP. If you want to try this out for PvP, this is very good. They're attacking you, they're going to be rooted to the ground, but again, a low chance to do this. Freedom and Devotion is the next one. Increase the duration of your summons by 80%. Very, very niche for Crusaders. We don't have that many summons. I don't know if the banner is considered a summon, but even so, I wouldn't want to be trying this out. You only have like 1 skill. I think it's the Judgment skill that summons with a very specific legendary item. So don't really get this one. Just use it as gem power boost. So next up, and the final ones will be the 2 stars and 5 stars, which are much fewer than the 1 star. So we'll have a look at them quickly. Power and Command, one of the best 2 stars for the Crusader. This alternates in power every couple of seconds and is always active. So you either get a boost to your main skills or your primary attack damage through this skill. And once you upgrade it, it also has a chance to remove negative effects from you. So this is a very, very strong gem. If you take this to level 5, it also boosts your magic find by 10%. So that is also very strong, very big for just getting better items in the future. So consider Power and Command if you have it, but it's very, very difficult to get gems ranked up. That is one of the biggest issues with the game at the moment. So Follower's Burden. Next, this is for Necros. Again, the same thing with Freedom and Devotion. This is about summons. You don't have summons, you won't be using them, you won't be using a 2 star for them. Don't really consider that. Next one is the Hunger. The Hunger is good for some healing. I was contemplating using this for Path of Blood while I was a Shadow, but not so oftenly used because of the healing. It's only every 20 seconds, and the healing is not that insane. It's about like 1,000 or whatever the base damage is, the calculation here. It's not gonna be that huge. The heal will not be changing in the course of a fight, and it's only every 20 seconds, which I don't recommend over something else. Bloody Reach, increase all damage you deal by 2% for every 2 yards between you and the enemy hit. This is, I guess, good if you want to be, you know, dropping all your AoE attacks and then running away, because you want to have that distance between the enemies. If that's how it works, like after you cast them, you take that distance between the enemies, and that's how it boosts the damage, then great. But it's honestly not the best one for Crusaders. I would have this at the bottom list for 2 stars for sure, and I would have 1 stars over this. Definitely Battle Guard is the next one that decreases all melee damage you take by 8% from enemies within 3 yards. This is very good if you want to max it out, the decreasing of damage dealt to you But again, it's very difficult to not be one shot in challengers, so this one will have to be maxed out to get the full benefit. And again, there's better things to do, like getting more damage to kill the enemies rather than just trying to survive. So either being like 3 hits away from dying or 2 hits away from dying doesn't make so much of a difference really. Unity Crystal, you and all party members take 0.5% reduced damage per additional party member within 6 yards of you. This is a very close distance. I don't recommend this one. I would go for something else. Again, go for more damage instead, because this boost that it gives, even if you boost the damage of your allies that are close to you, is not that great. You have other options and you'll be boosting them with your banner instead. Let's have a look at Cutthroat Jin. Gain 8% increased critical hit chance when attacking from behind. You will not be attacking from behind as a Crusader. You'll be usually facing the bosses, and the bosses will be just turning their sides to you to hit you many times. And this is basically for Demon Hunters and any ranged skill class, not for Crusaders. Don't take this one. It's very difficult to go the backside of the enemy to attack them to get that increased chance, and still you got the banner to do this for you. Lightning Core is a very strong gem actually. I would highly recommend testing this out. This is very strong. Your primary attacks and movement slowly charge up with electricity. It's like a conduit. When fully charged, your next primary attack will release a chain lightning, dealing 90% base damage and 1,134 to nearby enemies. Very strong skill. With the Drawn Quarter, highly recommend testing it out. Here's all damage you deal by 3% for 3 seconds. After calling chain lightning, it becomes even better. Go for this one. You will not regret it. So last ones are the 5 stars, the ones that will be almost impossible and totally up to luck if you'll get them. But let's get started. Phoenix Ashes is the one for PvP. This basically prevents fatal damage on a cooldown and also provides a shield to you. When the shield expires, heal for 20% of the remaining value. Very strong gem to have for PvP situations. Highly recommend using it. I do have one for the build that I shown you right now. I do have Phoenix Ashes, and it's definitely good because it helps me survive a little bit longer. Next up is going to be Chip of the Stone Flesh. So Chip of the Stone Flesh only really works for Crusaders with a very specific build. Alright, and another 5-star gem, the next one that we're going to see. Each time you cause a total loss of control, so either a stun or a fear. Very selective, and when you do those, we do not have a stun really in our everyday builds. Most builds that have like a stun or a freeze are not really used for PvE situations. For PvP, it looks okay, but I wouldn't really go for this one for PvP. All right, only if you get like a 5-star, then you need to go for a Howler's Call. So the next 5-star I would recommend, your primary attack has a 10% chance to summon a charging spirit wolf that inflicts 150% base damage plus 1,458 to all enemies in its path. Cannot occur more often than once every 20 seconds. This is very strong, very strong. If you can put a Chip of the Stone Flesh as well, both of them will work together. And this one will be using the spirit wolves at rank 3 to stun the enemies, and that stun will enable Chip of the Stone Flesh. But the problem with the 5 stars is that you need to have them upgraded to get, you know, a better benefit of the chance to stun. A 12% chance is not very high. It's 1 every 10 attacks, and consider that for PvP. How many attacks can you get in to an enemy before they start killing you? Not that often. Seeping Bow, one of the best ones for AoEs. It basically gives your attacks a chance to poison enemies, inflicting damage every 6 seconds. This effect cannot happen more often than once every 20 seconds. The poison also decreases enemy movement speed. Huge skill to use in all situations, even PvP. Even if the chance is 4%, you still use it. I still use it because I have a higher ranked Seeping Bow. It gives me combat rating also. It would be a shame not to use it. Then the next one is Blessing of the Worthy. The one to take for Crusader is actually even a pack to buy this one, which if you're a spender, you probably bought it already. So this one, when you take damage, you have a 20% chance to unleash retribution on all nearby enemies, dealing damage equal to 12% of your maximum life. This is huge. You gain more life, you do more damage basically, and also gives you like a decreased damage taken at rank 3 and higher, and this goes up with ranks. Insane gem. Definitely worth equipping in all builds, regardless of what you have. The same thing with Bloodsoaked Jade. This is the MVP of all gems in the game. This is the best one to get at 5 out of 5. Increases all damage you deal, your movement speed, and with the less damage with the less damage bonus, the lower your life to a minimum of 4%. And it also boosts take 2% decreased damage while below 50% life. So boosts your survivability, it boosts your damage, and it boosts your speed. Is the best gem out there, and the one that everybody wants to slowly upgrade and get to 5 out of 5. Echoing Shade. Many classes are using this one. I've tried it for a long time but didn't like it. Your attacks have a 15% chance to summon a shadow clone for 8 seconds that gains some of your abilities. I don't notice the abilities. I don't know, maybe I'm not looking very close. Even if you get 2 clones to fight, I don't look at the Crusaders doing anything. You just run around and hit with the primary attack. The logic that those copies have is not that great. I don't like it personally, but if you do, leave it down in the comments below. I want to check it out. Bottle Hope is a must-have for a Crusader if you can. This basically activates with anything the Crusader does. If you go on the horse, it activates. If you put on a banner, it activates. It's a great thing to do. Grants a buff that increases the target's damage done and movement speed by 80% for 6 seconds. This is huge. And also decreases the cooldown on all of your skills by 1.5%. Come on, how can this go any wrong? And finally, Svensson Haunting. This is good for PvE, for doing AoE damage to big packs, but it's not something that Crusaders need to do more damage. When you defeat an enemy, summon a Dark Beast to attack nearby enemies, doing a lot of AoE damage. Great gem for AoE attacks, but again, not really usable because gain a 7% chance to summon a Dark Dragon after using a skill against an enemy. That causes loss of control. We don't have so many of that, so you'll have to chain that with a different build to use this one. And again, to close this off, because it's not that easy to change around your gems, showcasing these is just not feasible really. It's all on paper. The game is very expensive in that sense of upgrading all my gems and testing builds out and showcasing them in a video. It's almost impossible for me to do, but even so, on paper we just go through all of them and theorycraft. If you have any different view of all those, leave it down below. Let me know on your opinion for the Crusader, the best gems possible. If you've got something different, again, leave it down in the comments. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next one. See ya.